Greetings and gratitude to each and every one of you. Sunshine the God is here. My brother Cevenimperial will be joining us shortly. Shout out to everyone who is watching the replay. Go on and say what's up to me if you're watching, so I know that you're watching. Got a cute little message for y'all today. Excited about sharing it. Just something to help us as we go out into the world, as we face each day. Something to just, keep us conscious of the way that we are moving in the world and interacting with others in the way that we're projecting into this experience that we're having. So we'll be hopping into that today. I'm going to give my brother a couple more seconds to hop on here. Maybe start telling a little bit of the backstory. So he sent me this video, right? And there's this man who's talking about this proverb. He says that there are these things called green bananas that they eat. And whenever they get ready to peel them with the iron knife, there's a chemical reaction that happens and it makes the fruit kind of sticky and it makes the knife turn a color. And so the people who peel the green bananas always make sure that they cover their hands in coconut oil before they get ready to peel those bananas so that nothing sticks to them. And he was just making the connection between that and the way that we should approach our everyday lives and making sure that we have oiled ourselves and really taking the time to put ourselves in a position where we won't have the things in the external world stick to us as we go out into the world, right? As we react to the things that are happening in the environment around us. If we are well oiled and we have connected with our spirit and really done what we needed to do in order to take care of ourselves as a spirit, not just as a person, right? Because we go through the daily routine that we go through on a daily basis in order to make sure that our bodies are prepared. But have you gone, spirit is prepared to face the day. So that's basically what we'll be discussing on today. My brother Steven is hopping on, got your request, popping up in here. How you doing?
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on? I gave the people a little bit of a background about the green bananas and the chemical reaction of that and the importance that comes with making sure that you are well oiled before you go out and approach the day.
Yes, ma'am. What was the last part you said?
I said I gave them a little bit of the background of the parable, right? About making sure that we're well oiled as we go out and approach the day and make sure that we've done what we need to do internally to make sure that we've connected to and acknowledged our own spirit before we go out into the world and start to react to the environment and the, experience that is external to us.
For sure. How did you feel after you watched that video? What did you get from it?
Like I was telling you earlier, I've been really evaluating my daily practices and trying to tweak and really look at the intentionality of my daily routine when I wake up in the rising, how I interact, how I conduct myself, and what I do personally to connect with my spirit. So it was really it resonated with me very much of what can I do to make sure that I'm as slick as I can possibly be when I go out into the world so that I don't have things that are not of me become a part of me, right? Because we want to be in the world and not of it. And so just making sure that as I set my intentions daily, I'm doing what I need to do in order to make sure that I'm showing up the way I want to show up. Because really the experience that we have is a projection from what's within us, right? Yeah. So if we didn't connect and get within ourselves before we go out into the experience, it very well can have a negative impact on us.
For sure. For sure. So what are some methods or forms of oiling that you would like to do more and invest more time and energy into?
I think for me, one of the most impactful oiling experiences that I have is my gratitude practices. If it's just taking out my gratitude journal and writing down things that I randomly think of that I'm grateful for in that moment, new things that I have, old things that I've always had to be grateful for. I think my gratitude practices are, they save my life. So that's always going to be a go-to for me of making sure that I'm in the energy that I want to carry throughout the rest of my day. If I had a go-to emotion, something that, because really before I came into where I am now, my go-to was, I'll smoke a blunt. You know what I'm saying? Like if I need, but now my go-to is gratitude, right? I could pick up, I could really like get within myself, even if it's just in my thoughts. If I'm not in a position where I can write about things, I can begin to do a gratitude practice within myself, even if it's a breathing exercise of breathing in gratitude and breathing it back out into the world. Gratitude is always going to be my go-to oil. It's something that I do like to definitely stay lathered in.
For sure. Nah, that was a great one. I ain't gonna lie. I really resonated with the video. Of course, for different methods, but just the concept of oiling oneself in consciousness, it really, really hit for me. I can't lie. Like it resonated with me so tough because I feel like it was something that can be applied universally in whatever means something to the individual. And it spoke to me because I feel like all of us, no matter where we are in our progression, where we are in our emotional spectrum, right? Like it benefits you so much. And I think man, it's hard for me to get away from the practice of gratitude because that's so fucking powerful and useful. But just man, if you watching this, anything that you feel like brings you closer to your form, to what you call God, right? Brings you closer to love, brings you closer to gratitude. Like these are things that I think, man, they can benefit every part of your life if you use it. Right, like it hit me so tough. I've been kind of just on it all morning as I've been helping my family move. And it made me see just how easy it is to not. Like it's very easy to just not do that in any form and go along with your day, accomplish the tasks that you have for the day. And like I think it's very easy to be busy or even productive without doing these things. But when you do it and you do it consistently, I think, man, it shows you so much about yourself within how you're interacting with life. Like it's so much more there that you don't really see or experience when you aren't oiled in consciousness, because I think your perspective becomes incredibly limited in comparison to what it can be. Ooh, I almost missed my little turn. Like for real. It just, I don't know, man. It hit me so tough. I really took my meditation this morning a lot more serious, and I was a lot more intentional with it today. Due to me seeing that video. Normally, it's you're kind of in a rhythm. You do your thing, you do what you got to do in the morning, and it's routine, and you just kind of keep going. But it really grounded me in even if you're someone who is in a routine and you're in a certain rhythm with yourself and your spirituality and being able to ground yourself in your consciousness, in love, in your gratitude, just being a lot more intentional with it. Even if you feel like you're at a peak, right? Just giving it more. Because I think it's so easy to just kind of coast along, as a human. Everything is very habitual. Like once you get into a groove, you can't help but of always taking the time to step back and assure your actions. Make sure, okay, cool, this is what I want, this is what I'm doing. Because even in the example that they gave with them oiling themselves up for the sole purpose of cutting up these bananas, because in their experience, they know they get sticky in this practice, right? And I think that sometimes we can oil ourselves up for a very general purpose, right? We think, hey, I'm gonna go into the earth, I'm gonna go into the world, and nothing's gonna bother me today, or whatever it might be. And I think even getting more specific with how you practice things and what for, right? I think it's so powerful, and intentionality really spoke to me from that video, because I'm like, damn, all right, I can do these things, right? But what am I doing it for, really? Like, even I would ask you, like, all right, now if you're practicing gratitude daily, now how can you more so pinpoint, right, what you're going to be using this for? Because everything, cultivates a certain type of energy within us. And I don't know. Yeah, I want to kind of, bounce that out for you. Like, what are some ways that you feel like in your gratitude practices that maybe in a moment, or at any time in life, do you feel like you've had to, kind of pinpoint and specify what you're using this practice for? Have you encountered that at all in your practices?
For me, the way that the practice came about was very intentional, right? So I have experienced in my, human experience cyclical depression, right? And so for me, gratitude has really, that practice has been an antidote to that, right? Because I can't be in a state of depression and a state of gratitude at the same time. So it's been like an antidote to that thing. And then it's just helping me to realize that I have a different attitude that I approach everything with when I'm able to find something to be grateful for in each moment, right? So it just gives me like an overall different experience, because I'm attracting something different when I'm emitting that from myself. When that's what I'm putting out into the world, I'm just having a very different kind of day, right? Because there are always things, depending on what perspective that we take, that we could be upset about or frustrated by. In any moment, there's balance, right? There are things that we could be upset about, things that we could be grateful for, but being in an attitude of gratitude, and that sounds so corny, helps me to take on a perspective that really serves me much more better than the pessimistic view that I could take life approach with. Because we're none of us are in a circumstance where everything is perfect in our lives and we don't have anything to complain about. It's a choice that we make as to whether or not I'm going to complain about the things that aren't right, or if I'm going to intentionally focus on the things that are going well, so that I can have more of those things.
Absolutely.
And so I don't know if that completely answers your question. I did want to expand on something that you were saying as kind of like a step one to this whole thing that we're talking about. Can be something as simple as bringing intentionality to the things that you're already doing as daily practices, right? Sometimes we hop in the shower, right? And we don't think of that as something spiritual, but the steam in that shower and the water that's running out of that shower head that's going into the earth can be a very powerful practice for you to use in your day to day, as far as this intentionality coming to that practice. And that could be your spiritual cleansing that you do before you go out into the day, if you just put some intentionality to it. And so it doesn't have to be that you wake up one day and you establish all these new things. I would start with taking things that I'm already doing and just bringing some intentionality to them. Like, I think it's ironic that we would be talking about oil, because the way that I lotion or oil my body is very intentional. It is a like full body covering of protection of prayer to myself every day when I get my shea butter and melt it down in my hand into oil and rub it on my body. It's very intentional, especially being that one of my love languages is physical touch. Like, that's a really big one for me. So to make sure that I'm intentionally giving that to myself and enjoying that moment and really, feeling myself touch myself and not just going through the routine of lotioning. But we can take small things that we're already doing. We don't have to just magically one day wake up and transform our whole life and our whole day, but we could take those small things and bring intentionality to them and create some practices and rituals that really enhance our well-being. And all we did is just start paying attention to what it is that we were doing energetically.
Nah, for real. I'm glad you touched on just the everyday practices that can become very easy for us to view as mundane, right? I was just I was giving my cousin yesterday, he had went and bought his first stick of sage, and him and his lady were getting ready to cleanse their space. And I think they had gotten a little bit of direction from the guy in the store, but he was like, man, I know this is kind of like what you do, so how do I go about this? And I laid out, right, like how to properly cleanse your space, how to be very intentional with that. But one thing that I also touched on with him was what you just touched on with showering. I was like bathing. I was like, man, don't be afraid to especially with your partner, if you guys are if your space is one and the same, y'all in an apartment, y'all are very all energy isn't symbiotic, but in the ideal form, if there is more than one source of energy present, you want that relationship to be as symbiotic as possible. And I was just kind of laying out for him in an introductory sense, like, man, do not undermine or discount the effect that your use of water can have on your spirit. Um, and yeah, I was just kind of laying out like just like the science of it. I think shines true light on the spirituality of it. When you start to speak in terms of spirit and vibration, it can be very foreign to the human mind. But I think I was just kind of laying it out for him. I'm like, bro, well, you know, water at a cellular level retains and memorizes information. So if that's the case, and you're 70 to 80% water, as well as a spirit, a piece of God in this vessel that is mainly water, does it not make sense to your logical mind that interacting with this water and doing some of the same things that I was telling him about cleansing his space? I was like, find a hertz and a tone that you like and play that into the water. Give a setting and move things on a cellular level, because I think that also in practices, in habits and routines, we only look at what we can physically see with our eyes. And I think it can be very useful to break down one's perspective into what's really happening, right? And shit, going down to a cellular level with things has been a very, very useful method for me to help explain bigger concepts, because it's like I was just laying out for him. I'm like, all right, look, if water changes form depending on how you speak to it, you can look this up. It's plain right there for you. If you just look up speaking to water changing, you'll find it. Okay, so if this happens to water on a microscopic level, then that means it happens on every level, right? So if that's what's happening, take the time to really be specific with how you plan to utilize your intention when it comes to this. So now I just wanted to use that to speak on, when you take a shower, right? If you're taking a shower, and most times the shower is a relaxing escape, right? Most 9 times out of 10, that's what people are using it for. You want some hot, warm water. You don't want nobody to bother you. You want some time to yourself to sing or do whatever you need to do. I would love to just highlight their practices. Man, that can be a time for affirmation. That can be a time for prayer. That can be a time for meditation, for using for playing certain tones in the environment and allowing things to interact on this small level, because just you speaking in the environment, in the closed environment of this water, and allowing for it to flow unto you and affect not only your physical and mental being, but the environment in your energetic field, it just has so much of an impact. And I'm so glad to have you as a partner in this regard, because that was definitely one of the areas I wanted to highlight, just as far as oiling, right? Oiling yourself with consciousness. There are so many ways to do this, and I don't want people to think that you have to get outside of your comfort zone to do so, because 9 times out of 10, things that you're already doing can be heightened if you just be more intentional with how you do them. So yeah, that's all I have for that. I just wanted to, you gave it, so I just wanted to give it. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. Like it's, and it even highlighted to me just how much I haven't been lately. You know, just in this winter season, in being a strong, like a lot of people that seek out the information that we give, I'm sure you guys are strong pillars in whatever groups you might be in, whether it's family, friends, work. And in the harsher seasons, it can become routine for you to be of the utmost service to the weakness around you. Because in the winters, that is when weakness gets highlighted. That is when lack of preparation gets highlighted. That is when, one's ability to persevere gets highlighted. And with us being here together, it's only right for the stronger ones to get leaned on. And when you're allowing yourself to be leaned on and you're being of service in these ways, I just, as well as speaking to myself, want to speak to the viewer and say that don't ever lose sight of doing the things and being of service to your environment and the people around you, doing those same things for yourself. It can be very, very easy not to. You can get caught up. Shit, you might be hungry. I got some work to do, and then somebody calls, or you might be scrolling and see somebody that could use a nice word, and you find yourself giving so much outwardly that you never give inwardly, right? And if that's a word, I'm just kind of made that shit up, but internally, right? Let's be more grammatically correct. But yeah, just don't lose sight of that, because it's a very, very empowering thing. And I would say, with the practice of not doing it, seasons like this one can become more draining than they need to be. So yeah, I just wanted to offer that.
Yeah, they say you burn more gas when your tank ain't full. Make sure your tank is full. You can burn less gas that you're giving out to people, but make sure, you keep your first priority your first priority. Make always number one. Gotta be number one. I think as a healer, or whatever you want to call it, that's one of the biggest lessons that there is to learn, of like, take care of you first and then take care of other people.
It can be hard. It can be so hard, man. Like, and then when you're struggling with it, it's difficult to not judge yourself so harshly for struggling, right? Like when you come to terms with your role as a healer or a teacher or a guide, in the spiritual senses, there comes a heightened sense of responsibility, right? And with that heightened sense of responsibility, if not interacted with properly, judgment can easily accompany that responsibility. You begin to judge yourself very, very harshly. You begin to, just view yourself under this microscope of, man, you know what you need to be doing? You need to, and we got to help people on a spiritual level. And especially if you know them, we all do that, right? But it can become increasingly very much so easy to do it when the responsibility goes up a level. It's one thing to be, a brother or sister or a mother or father to those around you. But when you feel called from the Most High, or just your spirit to really do things in your environment, man, I just want to, also voice to myself and my brothers and sisters that are listening. The answer is always love. It's always love. It can be very easy to pick from the multitude of other options, but it's always love. And even when looking to inspire or motivate yourself, or to correct yourself, right? Because I think that in the spirit of correction, not many of us have been corrected throughout our lives with love. That can be a very foreign concept to all of us, if not most of us. And it's definitely a foreign concept to me. So I've definitely been in the process of just understanding how to properly apply love without pacifying oneself, because you never want to baby yourself, right? Or I don't know what word I'm really looking for, but just kind of patronize.
You don't want to be in a place where you're making excuses for yourself.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, it's a borderline to nurturing and coddling.
Yeah. Boom. That's what coddling. That's the word I was looking for. It was on the tip of my tongue. You don't want to coddle yourself, but you want to make sure that you correct yourself sternly, but with love and respect. Because I think that in the ways that most of our inner children are used to being corrected, it's not always with love. It's normally in the sense of projection. We mostly get corrected when someone sees something in you that they see in themselves that causes them to be triggered and therefore express correction, right?
Yeah.
But that expression has to be based on the love that you have for yourself and the love that you've hopefully been able to cultivate through reflection, looking back on your own mistakes and seeing, oh, okay, so this is how I can better deal with this. So then when you see it in another brother or sister, it's not, man, you really shouldn't be doing that shit because this could, hold on, because, man, it's so easy. I think, man, really 9.5 times out of 10, that's how I see correction happen. Like you find yourself, especially in the black community, what we say is getting on somebody's ass. You wanna motivate them or correct them with this drill sergeant, sports coach kind of mentality. And it's just not really that useful when it comes to the spirit of a person. Like, you really, really have to approach it with love. And don't get me wrong, I ain't saying that love is always nice. Love ain't always, hey, baby. It ain't always like that. Sometimes love is get up off your ass, but the spirit and the energy of something is what gets received, I think, before the words, and in my own experience, and I can't speak for everyone, but when I do get stern correction, but I feel it coming from the heart and I feel it coming with love, my reaction and my response to it is always way different than when I feel like it's a condescending or an attack on my behavior rather than, that type of real correction and that real love. And yeah, damn, I don't know how we got there. But man, I'm happy about that because I ain't gonna lie, I feel complete from that for real, man. Because I think I'm really even talking to myself right now, which is how I've been focusing more and correcting my life and even sharing my experiences with my family, with my brothers and sisters, with my friends and coworkers and business partners. The love for oneself and the love that you cultivate within is so easily expressed. Like once you have it in here, it don't take much to figure out how to give it, but it takes a lot to figure out how to give your pain properly, right? Like it takes a lot how to figure when you figure out, man,
Oh, looks like you froze up a little bit. Not sure if the people can hear you just yet. You spinning. But if you all can still hear me, definitely how we got on the topic was Seven speaking about how it's easy for us to beat ourselves up and like let that internal voice kind of go wild whenever we aren't feeling ourselves first before we feel others. And so I'm definitely grateful for this conversation. Looks like Seven had to jump out. I am also feeling pretty complete myself. Definitely want to always let you guys know that on Wednesday evening and Monday evening, we meet. So if you want to come and meet and hang out with the community, we welcome you to do that. We do let people come and check it out for 4 weeks before we ask for any type of commitment. So if you want to come hang out with us, you can inbox myself or Seven, and we'll be more than happy to give you the information that you need to come and hang out. It's ladies only on Monday evenings, and then everybody gets together on Wednesday. So I said, just let me know. Super duper grateful for this conversation. Definitely hope that you were able to take something away that'll help you to be more well oiled before you go out into the world. Something that you can change about your daily routine or your daily practice so that you can just, let the outside that you see be a better reflection of what's within you. I love you all very much. Thank you so much for joining. Hey, Mom. Definitely go back and watch the replay. I'll have it posted for you because these are the kind of conversations that you want to kind of catch from the beginning. I love you all and have a great day.